Welcome to Matt's Financial and Geopolitical from the Frontier. And thank you kindly as ever for stopping by. Let me start off with this thought. One of the world's happiest nations just repaid all its foreign currency debt. Denmark, would you believe? Congratulations to Denmark. Home Thoughts, USA Today. Think you're tough. This guy climbed Everest in shorts. My goodness, that would be an entree if you ever had to introduce yourself. I'm the guy who climbed Mount Everest in shorts. Faith Kanja, who's been on the coast, I think, and whose photographs I do like, said, "You can never get tired of Wasini's sunset views." Wasini Island lies in southeast Kenya, 3 kilometers off the coast of the Indian Ocean. 75 kilometers south of Mombasa, approximately 7 kilometers long, 3 kilometers across. The island has only footpaths of sharp old coral or sand. There are no autocars, carts or bicycles. Cargo is transported by foot or by a wheelbarrow with a solid tire. Transport is over the paths or via the beaches, mainly consisting of coral and only passable with low tide, or by boat over the sea. Before 1963, in the British colonial time, there was an airstrip in the lagoon, situated longitudinal south on the island. Only small parts of tarmac are reminders of the history. I've been there, of course, a few times. Population of about 3,000, living at the north coast in the 2 villages, Wasini and Wikiro. They all speak Swahili. Some are Bantu people, the Vumba, whose mother tongue is the Kiswahili dialect Kivumba, and then the Digo have their own mother tongue, the Swahili dialect Kidigo. Humpback whales, dolphins can be spotted in the immediate surroundings of the island. Near the mainland, humpback whales can regularly be seen swimming northbound on the East African current. Never seen those. A few years ago, a gentleman called Ali, who I renamed Ali the Navigator, took us to Wasini Island. Let me put up an image of him. And that time, not with Ali, actually with somebody else, we met dolphins on the way. And this is a video I took 1,904 days ago, I believe. A very beautiful place to visit, well worth it. It's sort of a piece of life which is eroded in the modern world. One of the rarest animals on the planet, apparently, the black panther. And then I've been reading some Paul Bowles, and this is a quote from a book I'm not reading right now called The Sheltering Sky, which was made into a tremendous movie, actually. How many more times will you remember a certain afternoon of your childhood? Some afternoon that's so deeply a part of your being that you can't even conceive of your life without it. Perhaps 4 or 5 times more, perhaps not even that. How many more times will you watch the full moon rise? Try and watch it every month, to be honest. Perhaps 20, and yet it all seems limitless. The UK is to submit its formal Brexit notices to the EU on March 29. This is the Prime Minister's spokesperson. And it's to keep an eye on euro sterling and sterling, but sterling 123.82, it's relatively resilient since that announcement. Now the big news yesterday were the highlights from the House hearing on Russian interference in the US election. James B. Comey, the FBI director, confirmed early in Monday's hearing that the Bureau is indeed, as has been widely reported, investigating the interference by Russian intelligence in the 2016 American presidential election, including any possible collusion by aides and associates of President Trump. Mr. Comey said the investigation will cover the nature of any links between individuals associated with the Trump campaign and the Russian government, and whether there was any coordination between the campaign and Russia's efforts. The FBI director noted that the inquiry is technically a counterintelligence investigation focusing not on criminal conduct, but on Russian intelligence activities. But he said FBI agents will conduct an assessment of whether any crimes were committed. Mr. Comey noted that usual FBI practice is not to confirm the existence of ongoing investigations, and that the Justice Department has approved his departure from that practice. I have no information that supports those tweets, and we have looked carefully inside the FBI. The Department of Justice has asked me to share with you that the answer is the same for the Department of Justice and all its components. The department has no information that supports those tweets. 5th of December 2016, I said, we have a deviate tomahawk. Rick Wilson, so far Trump was lying, Russia was hacking us, GCHQ didn't tap Trump, the FBI is investigating. 5th of December, take it back again, my starting point is the election of President Trump, because hindsight will surely show that Russia ran a seriously sophisticated program of interference, mostly digital. I then quoted one of my favorite writers, Don DeLillo, the specialist is monitoring data on his mission console when a voice breaks in, a voice that carried with it a strange and unspecifiable poignancy. He checks in with his flight dynamics and conceptual paradigm officers at Colorado Command. We have a deviate tomahawk. We copy, there's a voice. We have some gross oscillation here. There's some interference. I've gone redundant, but I'm not sure it's helping. We are clearing an outframe to locate source. Thank you, Colorado. It is probably just selective noise. Your negative red on the step function quad. It was a voice, I told them. We've just received an affirm on selective noise. We will correct Tomahawk. In the meantime, advise you to stay redundant. The voice, in contrast to Colorado's metallic pigeon, is a melange of repartee, laughter, and song, with the quality of purest and sweetest sadness. Somehow, we are picking up signals from radio programs of 40, 50, 60 years ago. Brilliant, isn't it, Don DeLillo? Angel Esmeralda, if you're ever interested in going to the original source. So going back to 5th of December, I said I have no doubt that Putin ran a seriously 21st century, predominantly digital program of interference. I said President Trump was an ideal candidate for this kind of support. Trump is a linguistic warfare specialist. Look at the names he gave his opponents. Crooked Hillary, Lying Ted, Little Marco, Low Energy Jeb were devastating and terminal. And I said the second thing is non-linearity. You have to learn how to navigate a linear system, the new 21st century digital ecosystem, in a non-linear way. Beppe Grillo said, this is the deflagration of an epoch. It's the apocalypse of this information system, of the TVs, of the big newspapers, of the intellectuals, of the journalists. And I said, he's right. Traditional media has been disrupted, and the insurgents can broadcast live and over the top. From feeding the hothouse conspiracy frenzy online, a constant state of destabilized perception. This is the key thing. They kept that group of people, the undecideds who scream one way or the other, in a constantly destabilized sense of perception. Lying Ted, Crooked Hillary fed into that. And what happened was, feeding that hothouse conspiracy frenzy online, timely and judicious quotes of WikiLeaks leaks, which drained Hillary's bona fides and her turnout and motivated Trump's. What we have witnessed is something remarkable and noteworthy. And I concluded by saying Putin has proven himself an information master, and his adversaries are his information victims. The New York Times, so what is Trump hiding? First daughter Ivanka Trump gets a West Wing office. Let's move on to the currency markets. Euro dollar pressing up 107.96, dollar index 100.21, Japanese yen 112.80. It got as low as 112.25 in the early hours of the morning. Swiss franc 0.9978. The pound, this is interesting, 123.80. Been very resilient since the announcement. Australian dollar, let's take a look at what that's doing, 0.7710. 2010, but the Australia Central Bank warned of a build-up of risks associated with the housing market. India rupee 65.375, big rebound in the rupee. South Korean won 11.1961, looking through the noise on the peninsula. Brazilian real 307.24, taking the barbecue scandal in its stride. Egyptian pound 18.155, South African rand 19 and 20-month highs 12.6624. Dollar has declined to the lowest level since November, and that essentially is all about Trump risk ratcheting higher. Euro dollar was last trading at 107.97. My target is 109.90, as I've said a few days ago. David Inglis says some heavy selling in dollar yen since last week, pair below 112.50, but we've popped up to 123.80 right now. We've popped up to 112.77 right now, but it feels very, the yen feels as if it's about to make significant headway. Gold, let's take a look at that, 12.29. Geopolitical is currently supporting the gold price. You remember on the 28th of November, I made a very bold call. I do not see, I said WTI, which is West Texas Intermediate, crude oil trading above $60 under any circumstances through 2017, I said. And crude oil has fallen sharply last week. It's rebounding a little, as it tends to do on Tuesdays. But as I agree with Angel's Holdings, who says beware false rally. Sub-Saharan Africa, JMV Gatabazi tweeted President Paul Kagame of Rwanda meets His Highness Pope Francis. Look at the photograph. I was following this news that there was an African summit in the US with no Africans. All were denied visas, which was actually what I was concerned about in yesterday's piece about Trump in Africa. I was concerned about a downdraft in remittances into Africa. Africa CEO Forum by 2030, half of the annual increase in the global labor force will come from Africa. Africa CEO Forum again, agriculture employs 70% of the African people. Huge, isn't it? Really get that right, and the economy will be doing extremely well. In many African states, case for a structural adjustment of the polity is overwhelming, and I've been saying this for a while. The end of military rule 18 years ago in Nigeria heralded a bonanza for an unexpected profession, furniture making, as newly elected senators and members of the House of Assembly gathered in the capital, Abuja. Furniture salesmen flocked in to tap the lavish living allowances that legislators had been awarded. The National Assembly became an impromptu showroom for sofas and chairs. It was a sign of trouble to come. Kenya's President Uhuru Kenyatta put in his State of the Nation address last week the staggering cost of public sector wages. This is what is killing most African countries. There is no justification for government that is so expensive in the 21st century, and it's just a political problem. It's not being dealt with anywhere that I can see. In his bid to trim back the conspicuous consumption of elected officials, Mr. Kenyatta has a powerful lobby set against him, as does his counterpart in Nigeria, Muhammadu Buhari. After all, legislators all too rarely vote against their own self-interest. Thankfully, Kenya's president has the weight of popular opinion on his side. Kabila accuses President Lungu of conniving with Moishi Katumbi to destabilize the Congo. Government of Congo has written to Zambia complaining that Zambia is hosting Katumbi, who is planning to plunge the Congo into war. Congolese government says Katumbi is in the process of raising a militia to wage war against the Congolese government, but the Zambian government is happy to grant him a visa. Look at this photograph of President Lungu talking to his Minister for Livestock and Fisheries, Michael Katambo, after attending Mass in Lusaka. South Africa is seeking to ban foreigners buying agricultural land, not a positive development. Zuma is going in this direction in order to shore up its base. South African oil share up 4.15% so far this year. Dollar versus rand looks a trading sell to me, the rand. Egyptian pound at 18.155. Cityscapes, Lagos, West Africa's playground. beautiful story in the New African. The traffic is a horror show and there are too many people, but there is something irresistibly vibrant and exciting about this city by the sea that doubles as the teeming business hub of Africa's largest economy. It is definitely a playground, but one for the adventurous. The perfect place on the continent to reinvent yourself. With new hotels and bars springing up despite a national recession, Lagos is also a place where the party might slow down, but never stops. In recent times, pleasure concentrates on the island, notably the districts of Ikoyi, Lagos Island, and the Lekki Peninsula. But the adventurer should get off the beaten track and check out neighborhoods on the mainland, particularly Yaba and Ikeja, that offer pockets of culture and excitement. Sounds inviting. Nigerian all-share down 4.48% this year. Ghana Stock Exchange up 11.22% this year. But really, that 110-member cabinet is a farce. It's Peter Sellers territory. South Sudanese rebels said on Monday they'd kidnapped 4 oil workers, including a Pakistani national. South Sudanese rebels said on Monday they'd kidnapped 4 oil workers in a bid to force their Chinese and Malaysian consortium to leave the country. Fighters loyal to former Vice President Riek Machar said they had seized the 4 working for Dar Petroleum Operating Company from Upper Nile State on Saturday. Second group of oil workers abducted this month. Not good. If you haven't read my piece, how Donald Trump's foreign policy may impact Africa's economic position, please take a look. A gun battle between 2 pastoralist communities competing for grazing killed at least 10 people in northern Kenya on Sunday morning, police said. Raising questions, this is the important point, about the government's ability to maintain peace before August elections. This is the point. Emma Kiba, bond launch will be on Thursday, 23rd March, 12 noon at the National Treasury, 14th floor. That's good news. Kenya has signed an $800 million syndicated loan deal. That was widely expected. Kenya shilling is just above 103. Nairobi all-share rallied 0.47% yesterday to close at a 9-week closing high. It's still down for the year, minus 4.6%. NSE 20 closed at a 9-week closing high as well. It's still down for the year, minus 6.14%. My piece over the weekend was about policy making agility is key for a thriving economy. And finally, if you want to check into any share, just scroll down Rich Wrap-Ups, and there's a link there for you to look into any results, ratios, etc. And once again, I'm deeply grateful for you stopping by. And by the way, do share any critique if I'm too close to the screen or whatever you feel like. I'd be very grateful. Thank you.